Hey everybody, welcome back to Trekyards. I am Captain Foley.
And I am Quantal Cousins. Welcome back.
That's right. Today we're talking about the USS Voyager. Not that Voyager.
But no, it says Voyager though. Voyager.
I'm talking about
By Eagle
Voyager
Moss.
6.
I made that joke. No, Voyager J. She's like Voyager 11.
Voyager 11. Yes. Yeah. Eagle Moss ship. That's one of the XLs. If you guys are interested, in the description of every video, there is a link to Eagle Moss. Click that link and then use the discount code Trekyards10 to save yourself some money. Fill your card up with a bunch of great stuff. It applies to everything except pre-orders, so you can save yourself 10% off your order and help out the channel at the same time. So check it out.
Now, Stuart, I've lit this ship a lot via Trekyards. One of my favourite Trek ships. I think it looks sleek, advanced. Like it's one of, and amount of stuff it does in Voyager is incredible. So for me, one of the top ships of all time, especially as Federation aesthetic. And so for them to say in episode 5 of Discovery, look, here is the Voyager J, quite a ballsy thing. And we waited a little bit of time to film this, waiting for other information, other pictures. And we have gleaned bits and bobs. So we're not just getting that same picture of the front, we actually have lots of bits and bobs. And one of which, Stuart, was this poster image. Obviously artistic representation, but it does show the ship in its full glory or not glory. Depends. Stuart, what do you think? And how did you react when you saw the J? And what do you think?
Happy to see it. It's always great to see a legacy ship, and I wish they wouldn't have picked the letter J. I wish they would have picked another one, because every time I go to say this, I say Enterprise J.
Yep.
Because we've talked about that for years now. But I thought it looked fine. We didn't see much of it in the show per se, but this image definitely helps out with that discussion, and you can actually see quite a few details here that maybe you can see in the show. We'll have to talk about that. But overall, it's a fun future version of the ship. So a lot of people have said, is this the same Voyager just refitted 10 times? And I'm like, no, that's ridiculous, beyond ridiculous. Maybe refitted A, B, maybe, then got destroyed, then they made a new one. But it's definitely a new ship, and it's cool. So what did you think when you first saw it?
Yeah, anyone that says it's the same ship doesn't understand how Star Trek ships work. You know, that they just don't understand. That's not how ships work. And people in the scene, they said, and I've seen even some of the YouTubers be like, how did the crew know what Voyager was? Voyager was in the future. Duh, Discovery. Don't you know your own timeline? I'm like, how are you missing the obvious here? The ship is a J. Doesn't matter what ship it is. That's impressive. It's a 11th version of the ship. They don't know what the ship was. So it amazes me that they're trying to find anything to complain at, but just missing the entire context of that scene and then be able to go on a rant about it that is completely wrong is insane. But yes, so happy we saw this overall shot. There are more cool shots later on. I mean, honestly, it's more a Prometheus J, because as we know, the Voyager is known for its nice curved appearance. Obviously, yes, the nacelles follow. But it's definitely more of a Prometheus Voyager hybrid. If you'd shown this to us abstractly, it would have been a Prometheus continuation. Obviously, the E doesn't look like the NX-01 or the Connie. So we're not saying there's no linear whatever. But if you're trying to picture what the future Voyager looked like, going uber pointy, given other ships in this era are, you know, literally a circle, a ring of circle, you know, it kind of wasn't, yeah. And that said, you know, what we saw in the show was incredibly simple, very, very low detail. But there are some other little details we did manage to glean.
Well, before we move on to those, real quick, I just want to go back to what you said. Yeah, I know you're a fan of the Prometheus, and you think the pointy more looks like that.
Well, Stuart, here's a shot of them all together, just to show the audience what I mean. See, pointy.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. But the thing that I thought of when I first saw this was one of the original concepts for Voyager that was actually created into a little mock-up model. By Rick Sternbach, has a very more pointy primary hull and lower, like, kind of underslung nacelles that were longer. And I think this is kind of like an homage to that almost. Like, it's almost like Discovery is basically like the Ralph McQuarrie version of the Enterprise. They're going back to those original design concepts to kind of pay them homage. So that's kind of what I got from it. I can see why you'd say Prometheus, though. But I think we're both right.
No, I didn't even consider that, because obviously that's not a canon design, so technically it shouldn't be used, but that's not the point for cool design stuff. And in fact, yeah, I'm looking at some sketches of that ship, and the top sketch even has that sort of secondary hull push out with a distinct detail that if you just cut out, it'd feel like almost identical back piece. And yeah, underslung. I mean, yeah, clearly, I think it'd be remarkable if they weren't pulling inspiration from that. Clearly, but yeah, it's fine. You know, the detail level was so low that it's like, you know, a Voyager of the week, but background model. It wasn't given any sort of hero treatment. Hopefully we'll see it later. It was definitely just an Easter eggy ship. You know, look here. But the fact that we do see it in other slight moments, and even in the next episode, the one we just had, episode 6, is interesting. Well, let's just go to picture 3, because it shows, you know, a collection of elements. And you can see, now we know the shape of the ship, we could see that as the ship was passing, that back piece is from Voyager. So there's a detailed version of the back of the nacelles, etc.
That's cool. I didn't know that till I saw this picture. And I didn't know there was a bottle opener on the back of Voyager, the new Voyager. And even when I saw the poster, you can see it in the poster version. It's definitely the same here. I kind of like the way it looks. And it could definitely be marketed as a bottle opener. So CBS, get on that. I'd buy it. Eagle Moss, maybe. You can even use the Vengeance. Make another one.
Yeah.
Bottle opener set.
I kind of wish, though, I appreciate we're finally seeing red blinkies, but I wish the other side were green. Don't know why they're blue. Maybe it's
but they might be green, but it's just with the lighting. Like you said before, everything looks blue here because of the force field thing. But
yeah, but there is more detail than, you know, than is visible on the screen in terms of a literal, like, bum bum bum. And you kind of see there may be Bassards on that top view. Well, I appreciate the pennant's release lit, given that you never see that on the screen, but on that very out of focus. It has potential, but to even grasp a really full view of what it is, let's do cut towards, though, the orthos, which were sneakily, I just saw them as we filmed something else. In the last episode, when talking to the CNC, and you do get a very clear side view and a pretty good top view. Clearest side view we've gotten. Obviously, it's still a simple variation version, but what do you think now seeing it sort of orthographically?
Kind of clunky.
McClunky? Are we in Star Wars? What?
It is good to see it for sure. It does seem kind of bulky though. It's not as sleek as I think it looks from the other angles.
Because look at that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's much higher and lower as far as... but it's fine. It's feature tech. It's fine. And it was great to see these, actually. To pull these out was interesting. It doesn't look as graceful from the side in this view, but that's fine. At least we're getting a more of a feel for how the ship is going to look overall. So
it also looks to me as if the saucer and secondary hull are disconnected, like the nacelles, which is not unprecedented in this new era of Trek.
Oh, yeah. You don't really see that unless you zoom in. That is interesting. Wow.
I mean, maybe the whole thing like slides back and can slide forward. It was a really weird thing to do, but maybe it could. But yeah, the side view is definitely clunky. I mean, it doesn't look nice. But this is why it needs a neck to integrate it all. But if you're trying to make things disconnected, then you kind of lovely connected stuff. So it's kind of a hard thing. I'm hoping though it's not quite what it looks like. There might have been an early 3D model, like the standing kit bash version, because it definitely doesn't look as nice. I mean, if you go back one step to the picture of them side by side with the Prometheus and the Voyager, I mean, it doesn't feel anywhere near as big as that. That feels far more sleek, beautiful and elegant. Whereas the orthos are completely different. But let's look at the three compared and stay on that for a second. We see where they've come from. We've seen the Prometheus. How do you think once you put it all together?
I think it's a fine lineage. I don't have a problem with the rounded tip of Voyager becoming more pointy over time, especially 10 generations in, because we saw the TOS Enterprise go from round to refit to eventually the Sovereign, which was much more like oval, and even the Enterprise D in the middle there, different altogether. It's fine. Bigger nacelles as well. And we're not sure the size of the ship, but judging by the windows, it's not super sized. But in Discovery, who knows? Who knows? And it is the future, so again, I have no problem if it's much bigger as well.
But the way they fly by, it certainly feels like it's of a normally averagely small ship, as in like normal medium size, which is kind of what you want. You don't want these oversized, sarcophagus-sized ships. Yeah, I mean, it's ironically it's simpler than the other two ships with less details. I mean, obviously this is artist representation, but we saw the other model. You know, there's more detail on the Voyager and the Prometheus, and there's more form follows function. But I can imagine if everything is replicable matter and everything's really, you know, the TOS vibe, everything's internal. So there is definitely ways of angling the conversation to be like, hey, they're referencing TOS with simple hulls. Okay, then they add lots of paint plate detail, which make it look not simple. But certainly we mentioned our Discovery breakdown for the new Discovery Refit A, that maybe they have weapon pods that kind of come out of a set zone and replicate together. So I'd love to see a scene where, you know, Voyager walks in and suddenly a phaser strip or some weapons or whatever just appears in, because they have, you know, they're allowed to have a simple frame until they need certain technology. Could be kind of fun.
I think it's a fine addition, and it's nice to see another legacy hero ship kind of given that, you know, push towards the future. So
went beyond just Voyager, as in the show, which is important.
Very, very happy for that. So, and I would like to learn about the adventures of these other Voyagers.
You know, do a prequel, the Enterprise, you know, Voyager D, the prequel show, because now, you know, although the only thing I'll end on is that it still doesn't be the original Voyager. Rick did a gorgeous design. I don't think they were trying to make something that looked amazing. I think this is more of we're going for a stylistic ship rather than a beautiful. You know what I mean? It would, in this case, works fine. But I think both Prometheus and Voyager look a lot better and are far more balanced. But that's okay in this context.
And I guess that's it for the Voyager J. Guys, put your thoughts down below. What did you think about this design? Have we shown you anything you didn't know? Because I learned some stuff just by doing these breakdown videos. The cutout in the back of the secondary hull, and just, I think that's fantastic. So let us know what you guys thought in the comment section. We always love reading them. Hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click notify. All because we do a lot of breakdown videos and lives as well. So if you want to be a part of that and help support the channel, please consider hitting that notification bell.
And all that content is free, and you've seen our content this week and the past many weeks about topics both inside the Trek, about behind the scenes, about the ships, about the tech, all this great stuff, breakdowns, theories, renders if we can, all that fun stuff. But we do it all for free, like I said, so support us if you can directly. Every single $5 from any source, from any person does make a difference. So PayPal, Patreon, all the links are down below. Join the channel or super chat during our lives. Each one makes a difference, and if you could do one of each, why not? You know, $5 on all the different forums makes a difference.
That's right. So until next time, guys, where we have another ship or a very cool topic to talk about, I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Chronicles. See you then.
See you guys.